Over more than 40 years, Bill Bratton has led police departments in Boston, New York, and Los Angeles. Mark Whitaker speaks with the man some call the architect of modern policing in America.
The tourists are returning to Times Square, a welcome sign for New York City and its former top cop, Bill Bratton.
It's so clean. It's about the cleanest I've seen it, which is nice.
But not everything he sees or hears is nice.
He's having a good time for himself, but in the meantime, I don't know about you, but he's annoying the hell out of me.
Bratton, who led police departments in Los Angeles, Boston, and twice in New York,
Hey, fellas, how are you?
stops to chat with a couple of officers.
We've met before, have we not?
Did you get my speech, actually, for the academy graduation?
You say the cop is the face of the government, it's the face of the state.
It's the most visible, and the one that has probably the most power of any individual in government is that cop on the street.
They're walking the beat, just as he did more than a half a century ago. Much has changed, but not everything.
I would argue being a cop today in America is tougher than probably any other time going back to the early 70s. They're feeling not appreciated. It's a frustrating time for them. So many of them are leaving the profession.
That's not all that troubles him. Bratton is one of the leading architects of modern policing, whose reforms and innovative approaches lowered crime and, he says, bolstered the bond between the public and the men and women who serve and protect.
The changes in the profession over the years, the reforms, have been phenomenal, but it's as if for 50 years we were doing nothing, that we're just marking time. And that's my frustration.
In his new book, The Profession, Bratton fears much of what he helped create is crumbling.
We have a national crisis. We have 50 states, 3,600 counties, God knows how many cities and towns. We have 18,000 police forces. And we have, unlike many other democracies, we have very few national guidelines.
There were even fewer when Bratton was a kid in the white, working-class Boston neighborhood of Dorchester. At 9 years old, he was already dreaming of a life in law enforcement.
This is Your Police, which is the book I checked out of the Boston Public Library every chance I got.
He joined the force in 1970.
Patrolman, badge 1190.
Bratton says a problem then is still a problem now, a lack of preparation.
My training was about 6 to 7 weeks before I was given a gun and the blue uniform put out in the street. Yeah. But the training now should really, I think, be expanded to a minimum of a year. That just think of the power that we're putting into the hands of a young man or woman, the power to take a life.
Bratton quickly rose through the ranks, becoming commissioner in 1993, when he embraced the concept of community policing.
The American police, working as partners with American citizens and the government, will get the job done.
It's three P's. It's very easy to understand. Partnership, work with the community. 2, the problems of the community, big and small. And 3, what is the goal? Prevention. Deal with it in a way you solve the problem so it goes away.
I, William Bratton, do solemnly swear.
A year later, Mayor Rudy Giuliani lured him away to stem the crime waves sweeping New York.
Very tough to work for. Very Machiavellian in many respects. But whether you like him or not, he did change the city for the better in many respects, in the sense that he made it safe.
Bratton says broken windows policing, cracking down on quality of life offenses, and CompStat, a computerized crime tracking system, all played a part. The turnaround landed him on the cover of Time magazine. His boss wasn't happy.
And the person that was doing the story wanted the photo. And he said, we have the opportunity to do it with just you, or you can ask the mayor. And I thought about 3 seconds and said, let's do it just me. And so it ended up in the cover of Time magazine.
You were doing that.
This was basically going to be my exit song.
I want to talk very bluntly to you. The citizens of this city need you back in those streets.
In 2002, he was appointed chief of police in LA, a department plagued by racism and brutality. While there, he met a black community organizer named Alice Harris, known as Sweet Alice.
She really helped me to understand so many of the black issues in LA, and she says to me, Chief, you know why we like you so much? And I said, no, Sweet Alice, why is that? You see us. You really see us.
So
That's the highest accolade I've ever received.
So that's a great story, but why do so many Black Americans not feel seen by the police?
Because they're not. They really are not.
Bratton returned to New York in 2014.
We will all work hard to identify why is it that so many in this city do not feel good about this department that has done so much to make them safe.
6 months after he was sworn in, an officer put a fatal chokehold on Eric Garner, an unarmed black man selling loose cigarettes outside a Staten Island storefront.
This is a memorial that's been put up in memory of Americana. May his soul rest in peace.
Garner is saying, I can't breathe, 11 times.
11 times. The idea of trying to take him down, just the two of them, and both of them were smaller than Garner was very, very big. And effectively, it was just a bad tactic, and it ended up in a terrible tragedy.
Garner was selling loose cigarettes, which wasn't legal. He was a big black man, but that didn't mean he deserved to die.
Well, correctly. In terms of George Floyd did so often in these struggles that, particularly over minor events, such as the sale of loosies, nobody deserves to die at the hands of the police, but it happens 1,000 times a year.
Along with the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, Garner's death sparked nationwide protests, fueling the Black Lives Matter movement that was reignited again last year with the murder of George Floyd.
I have a mantra: cops count, police matter. The individual action of a cop, the collective action of the police matter. So Derek Chauvin's actions as an individual cop, look at the significance of that action. He did so much damage to the American police profession, unrivaled, damage to the profession around the world.
Bratton supports many reforms that have been called for since Chauvin's murder of Floyd, including mandatory police body cameras and limits on qualified immunity, which protects police from criminal charges if they use deadly force in the line of duty. But he rejects the most radical buzzword.
It's one of the reasons I'm so frustrated with the hashtag defund the police. You need to refund the police. What I'm hoping coming out of this bill in Congress, the George Floyd bill, when it comes out, is that it will effectively force government to spend resources on the essential medicine to fix this thing. And police are the essential medicine. That's the reality.
But also, doesn't history also tell us that every time we see one of these surges in violence, it sort of gives everybody an excuse to back off and to not engage with reform?
That's the learning process I hope that we have finally come to embrace, that out of this terribly tragic year, that we understand the importance of, we can deal with race, we can deal with crime, we can deal with the other issues that cause so much fear. We know what to do about this.
Ultimately, that is the optimist in Bratton, convinced that positive change remains possible.
So if you were a kid today, like you were starting out,
Don't we all wish that, huh?
in Dorchester, thinking about a career in policing and what you could achieve, what would you tell them?
I'd still go into the business. It's a tough profession now, tougher than I think any time in my 50-year history with it. But it's still a profession. If you get it right, you can get so much right.
Bratton, who is married to Ricky Kleeman, a legal contributor to CBS News, now works as a security consultant in the private sector. He's retired from the profession, at least for now.
I wish I was 10 years younger, because to get back in the game.
You're still hungry. You're like another whack.
What's the expression? Never say never.